I just took it out here today. Son of a God.
You hit?
Windshield.
Oh.
Did it hurt?
I was about to say it's going to feel better when it quit hurting.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just wanted to show a little video of how to take one of these hub assemblies off and take it all the way down to basically the bare knuckle, what's basically welded onto the axle tube. So pretty much reverse of putting it back together, but of course I'll go a little more in depth. So what we're first going to do is take this cap off. I have the right tools here, which is a 50-50 shot. I don't see a screwdriver, so probably not. Let me just get a screwdriver real quick. I almost forgot the snap rings. Okay, so we're going to take this off. Just pry it off. They make a special puller in the book that looks really cool and probably works like a beast. However, I'm not going to buy it. Somebody gives it to me, that'd be cool. But I'm not going to buy it specifically because the book says to use it. You use your tools that you have, man. Don't go buy certain stuff just to take one of these things apart, or I wouldn't. Do what you feel like anyways. Alright, so we got a little bit of grease in here. Story is, I put this side back together, and then I put the other side, I just redid the other side, and while doing it and researching it, your kingpins have to be at a certain, tension in order for this thing to steer right. And I don't think we're there on this side. The kingpin bearings look good, but I didn't take it all the way down, so I really don't know. So I'd rather take it apart, clean it, paint it like the other side, and be done with it. So you have a little snap ring here. Get your handy dandy little pliers. I don't know, this one kind of seems a little wore out. I don't know when the time is to replace these, but it is very possible that I might be replacing this soon because it just doesn't have a whole lot of tension left when I throw it on there. I mean, it's real easy. I just don't want it to break or fall off and then ruin my flange or axle or all the above. Okay, so that's all. Put it up on a little parts table up here. So now we just remove these 6 bolts. Of course, why did oh, here we go. So it should be 9/16, which is not that socket. As you'll see, I have one missing. We might fix that if I get to it. I'd love to. Alright, so we're back. Got a little pry bar now. One thing I will say, if this is like the first time this has ever been taken off in a long time, you might replace these lock washers. Most of mine are broken. I've replaced them on the other side already. Them all up first, and then I'll go around and take them all off. All right, that's done. Okay, so let me see a good one. So if a lock washer's kind of like that, almost flat, or here we go. Like this one, just plumb broke. Need to replace those. I'm sure there's lock washers on here simply because of vibration and going down the road, so you want to make sure that you keep your bolts in it, make sure that it's tight. Alright, so now she just slides on off. Just like that. I'm gonna put this on the table. And when I'm putting stuff up on the table, I'll show y'all here in a little bit. Basically just putting it on some cardboard. It's about the best friend during this type of task. As you can see, that's what I'm standing or kneeling on right now. Just so nasty stuff, grease and everything's all contained, you can just throw it away later. Put the bolts up there too. And the cap. Okay, so you got your lock nut first. Oh, you got to bend that tab down. I forgot. I knew I had this hammer out for a reason. A little flat washer in here. Need to bend that back down. Let me get a chisel or a screwdriver real quick. Get you a good sized chisel, flat end, the one that you can kind of work around in there. And you're just going to bend that washer back flat so you can take this nut off. Okay, that should do it. Now we just put, if you don't have one of these, get you one. Yes, you can take it off with a chisel. It's very thin metal though, and so you will break it eventually. Yeah, maybe you may get 1 or 2 times of doing that before it actually just breaks on you. They're really cheap. This stuff is only like 20 bucks, I think, or don't quote me on that, but relatively cheap. And you need it to make sure that you get the right torque on these nuts. Okay, so that's going to come off. And my best advice to you at home would be make sure you put this stuff in order. It's not that hard to mess up, but I mean, doing it my first time, that's what I always do. This is brand new to you. So let's see. You can see my washer's a little chewed up, but it's okay. Not a big deal. I think, yeah. So that went like that. Put those down for a second. And we got another nut. Same size. No need for anything else. Okay, so all our stuff's still in order. So you'll have another washer back here, if I can get it out. Oh, it's gonna come out, I just gotta get the right tool to do it. I think we're bringing the whole bearing and everything, the whole assembly. So you can, it is loose by now, so if you need to, just do that. And your front bearing comes out with it. So it does have an indention as well on for your spline. So what I do is I would just stack all this stuff on top of your flange, and that way it goes in there correct. Okay. Now we just pull this whole thing off. And your bearing is in the back, another bearing, and your other seal. Those seals, you can replace them every time if you want to, but really all it's doing is holding in the grease, which it doesn't need a very tight tolerance to do that. So I left the ones that were on it. They looked fine. Like I said, just a grease seal. So they do have a cross reference. It's the seal number is Trostel DW 300-208-5. So you can probably look up that number and find something that's close, or get the specifications on it and then just take that and look for another seal. World Wide Web kind of helps out a lot on that stuff. So yeah, so I'm gonna put this on the table and we'll proceed on. Alright, next up for disassembly is our brakes. Now, if this looked really clean, you just painted it, you could take all this off as one and just remove your brake hose on the back of this wheel cylinder, and you could just take the whole thing off. However, it's pretty rusty, as you see, a little bit of grease. So I'm going to take it down, put it in the parts washer, and we're going to clean it up. So to do that, we'll just have to take off the hose on the back. We'll have to undo it from the brake line that's on the axle. So I'll just pause here. It's nothing too complicated, honestly. So okay, so I got the brake line off, brake hose. So I think they are different per year model. On certain years that they made, this come off like a late 50s, early 60s CJ5. So I know it's a flat fender, but we did do an axle swap just because the old ones were just too far gone. So yeah, so this is 5/8 on both hose, and then the brake line on the axles is 3/8. You need a 3/8 tubing wrench for that. Okay, so going further, we're going to take off the brake shoes, the master cylinder. We'll probably take the master cylinder off after we take the brake shoes, like after we take the brake plate off. It's just easier that way. So first things first, let's go ahead and take this axle spring. Well, you know what? Yeah, we'll do this first. Brake shoes or brake drums do require special sets of tools. This one's kind of a service-all. It's a Snap-on 131A. You don't have to buy Snap-on. Dad was a crane mechanic, so that's kind of how we got a lot of these tools. He bought them as time allowed. So next, you'll take these little bad boys off. So you got to hold it from the back, spin it approximately 180 degrees until the indentions line up, and then it pops off. This stuff is pretty good too for a while. This hardware, it does wear out after a while, so I mean, just be cognizant of that. They'll usually rust through or whatever the case is. Okay, that side's done. Just do the other side. And these are 9-inch brakes. I figured y'all could probably tell, but so this is very old technology. Used them for a long time, but as somebody said, it's pretty much obsolete technology to slow down a vehicle that wasn't going very fast anyway. So that's kind of what they used. Okay, now that these shoes, so you just got a spring on the bottom. Now that you have all the hardware done, you can just pull it off just like that. So let's put this stuff up top. All right, so these should be about 9/16, probably the same size. Would you just look at that? Okay, so now it's got 6 bolts that hold your spindle and the brake backing plate on. We'll remove those and we'll be down to the bare axle. Okay, got all the backing bolts out of the plate, pretty much. And waited to pull the last 2 out for y'all. Okay, so did find another broken washer, so we'll replace that. We'll look at the other ones too, because they're probably not far. So yeah, that one's just flat. There's nothing left, no gap, and then it ain't doing its job as a lock washer. So this is going to come off. There's our assembly. So as I said, I'll take this off. It's just 2 7/16 bolts from the back. It's just a lot easier to get to them when this plate is off. And you got your spindle. So if you look here, it's an R for right. The other one has a stamp for left. So just so you don't mix them up. Drain plug, tie rod end, just like everything else. So we'll go ahead and, well, maybe not. It does have a little gap right here. We'll probably get on it with just a little bit of pry, possibly. Bingo. So got that off there. That up on the table. And we got our axle shaft. Oh man, we're missing some feet. Nah, just kidding. So it's nice and greasy. This one don't look as bad as the other side as far as corrosion. Looks a lot better actually. We'll wipe that down and throw it in the parts washer. Okay, now we're down to the knuckle. This is your bearing on the bottom of this bearing, and this is your kingpin that sticks through. We'll get to those in just a minute. Alright, got that off. Next thing coming is the tie rod end, which is like super loose. It's a 3/4 inch bolt, by the way, or nut. Nope, not that loose. Alright, so I'm going to take our handy dandy tie rod end. I'll look and see where. Yeah, I don't even have a boot. Bingo. He's out. So that. Next, we're going to be pulling out kingpins, top and bottom. Well, actually, we'll probably start with the bolts on the back, which is your seal. I will show you all that once we have the actual whole thing off. Probably be the easiest thing. So there's 8 bolts. Yeah, 8 bolts on the back of here. Got them mostly out. It's a real pain in the rear. A lot of them have had grease caked on. I gotta go the right way too. They are a 1/2 inch bolt, by the way.
Hey, when we quit this evening, we need to take this up to the front of the house and put that in the morning.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why I did that. I just took it out here today. Son of a God.
Hurt?
No, it didn't hurt.
You hit?
Windshield.
Oh.
Did it hurt?
I was about to say it's going to feel better when it quit hurting.
Yeah, I'm sure. So these are pretty cool. These little tags on the back, they say, well, this one says Spicer joint. I know it's really hard to make out because it's got so much grease coated on it. But that is what it says. The other side said it as well. I do plan on cleaning this up and painting it and putting it back on. Okay, I think we've got about most of our bolts out. Pretty sure. Okay, so then it's got like a ring, 1/2 a ring, top and bottom, that holds it on just like this. Same thing on the bottom. Yeah, so looks like that towards the axle. So like the beveled out part goes towards the pumpkin. Pumpkin, by the way. Okay, so that's off. So it'll come the rest of the way off when we take off these kingpins next. So in order to do that, I think I gotta change my socket size back to a 9/16. I really don't think it matters which one you take off first. Yeah, I really don't think so. I would take off the top, get it out of the way, and then you can slide it over and then take the, you know, like once you get the bottom one pulled out, then you can just move it over a little bit and drop it down. I know these are really tight because I tightened them. And when we pull this off of here, oh, we just broke a lock washer. Yeah. Good thing I'm taking them off. When you pull this kingpin off, you're gonna see that 2 shims, which is what factory was. So factory, we had 2 on the top and 0 on the bottom. Earlier models, they had shims top and bottom. And the reason that is because these later models they modified the mold to include the amount of shims into the bottom. So like they basically added metal to the bottom to make sure that the bottom didn't need any shims, you just needed to shim the top. Which works out pretty good. Pretty cool deal. Use the old dog bowl as a parts bin. Works out pretty well. Now, this should come out relatively easy, and only because I've removed it in the past 2-3 weeks. So when you do go to take these out, you're probably gonna have a little bit harder time. What I would do is just spin it like over to the side where you can get a little pry on it, move the shims out of the way, and just pry a little bit. Should come out. I might need to pry this one a little bit as well. I'll go ahead and spin it around so I can break it loose. Light taps. Or not. Oh yeah, we're coming now. We're almost there. Go ahead and pry a little bit on either side. Broke the shim, but honestly these were pretty rusty, so I'm not terribly worried about it. And I have more, so I kind of figure I'd rather deface the shim than break or mess up the casting. Okay. Oh, come on. You really want to. Not the proper tool, by the way. Hey, there we go. Got those off. Chunking them shims, they're not any good. Alright, kingpin. I have not found a tolerance for these, like if it's smaller than this, or if it's shorter, or if it's something's messed up with it. I have not found a tolerance. The only thing that really matters is making sure that you get the tension going back and forth between 12 and 16 pounds. If you look up on Torque King 4x4, they also see how to do it. I think they go off of torque, like off of this, how much it takes to move it when you have a tie rod end in it. So that's pretty cool as well. So, and that is done without the felt seal, or without the seal on the back. So it has to be just the bearings, the pins, that's it. Top down, one to go. So, didn't mean to do all that. Once you have the top one loose, it was just loose enough to actually get the whole thing out of the bottom. So as you can see, we were pretty nasty in there. Yeah, so that's gonna go in the parts washer, get all that crap out of there. Our top bearing doesn't look too well either. Looks better than the bottom, but you know, the rollers aren't missing on this one. But she was probably pretty close. She was not very far away from breaking apart. Actually, you can see where pieces of the cage have started to break. So, it's no good. Good thing we're replacing it. And that's it, guys. These are your seals. I would just leave them on there until you get your new ones ready to go on. Just like tubing, make sure you put those on before you put the knuckle on. Not that big a deal to reverse it, but yes, you do have to put this on first. It looks like, so the big fat rubber part is on the back, and then like the solid piece is towards the piece here. So, and yeah, if you put that on, then your felt from the outside are on the outside, and then you have your rings that go on like this. So, but yeah, that's how to take apart a Dana 25-27 knuckle. Hopefully this served y'all well, and I appreciate y'all looking in. Thanks.